As the hugely popular poet, writer, and sociocultural observer, Javed Akhtar turned 78 on January 17th. He does so in the midst of the release of a compilation, snapshots of his life called Jadunama, written in Hindi by Arvind Mandloi and translated into English by Rakhshanda Jalil. Jadunama, or the Chronicles of Jadu, Akhtar's childhood name, offers some great insights into one of India's most revered poets and sought after public speakers. Known for his wit and gift of the gab, aided by an elephantine memory, Javed Akhtar is never a less than stimulating interlocutor. He spoke to Mayank Chhaya Reports in an unstructured conversation about life and philosophy. Javed Akhtar.
Before I get into the main theme of the interview, मैं
Yeah,
थोड़ा आपको irritate करना चाहता हूँ.
please go ahead.
If in Sholay, Amjad Khan had said, फिर भी वापस आ गए instead of फिर भी वापस आ गए, how would you have reacted?
Yet this fear has become prevalent in last 7, 8, 9, 10 years, perhaps. Fear wasn't there at that time. People used to speak pa. Now they
Right.
say fool ko fool or fear. Uh, सिर्फ जब फायदा कहना होता है तो फायदा कहते हैं.
It is confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I want to get two very diverse verses out of my way before I ask you about the book. One is by the great Ghalib, and the other is by Mohsin Naqvi. I'll start with Mohsin Naqvi. He had a ghazal which went something like this: Kal raat bazm mein jo mila, gul badan sa tha, खुशबू से उसके लफ्ज से चेहरा चमन सा था. उसमें एक मिसरा है, तन्हाइयों की रुत में भी लगता था मुतमईन, तन्हाइयों की रुत में भी लगता था मुतमईन, वो शख्स अपनी जात में एक अंजुमन सा था. For a long time, I thought this fits me perfectly individually. Lately, I have thought it fits you perfectly, and now I think it probably fits all poets perfectly. तो क्या आप तन्हाइयों की रुत में भी मुतमईन होते हैं?
जो अंजुमन जैसा लगता था, इस पे तो गालिब का शेर है और यही थॉट गालिब का है आदमी बजाय खुद एक मैशर ख्याल कि एक पूरा एक मॉब, एक बहुत बड़ा क्राउड है इंसान ख्यालों का. हम अंजुमन समझते हैं, खिलवत ही क्यों ना हो.
वाह वाह.
खिलवत तन्हाई
Right.
कि तन्हाई को भी तो मैं समझता हूँ कि महफिल है. अंजुमन महफिल है या बज़्म है. हम अंजुमन समझते हैं, खिलवत ही क्यों ना हो. तन्हाई को भी हम समझते हैं कि इसलिए कि हर आदमी जो है वो ख्यालों का एक मेला है, एक बहुत बड़ा मजमा है ख्यालों का. हर आदमी क्राउड है ऑफ थॉट्स.
Indeed.
वो अकेला भी जब है तो अकेला नहीं है.
I mean, it's a perfect segue for me. I'm sure you're absolutely aware of this iconic line by Ghalib, हस्ती के मतफरेब में आ जाए ये असद, आलम तमाम हल्का दाम ख्याल है. The idea that you shouldn't be taken in by the deceptions of existence. I'm translating for my viewers, not for you. Have you at any point in your life felt taken in or lured by the deceptions of existence? And if so, how have you handled that?
No, I have not. I have never gone, and I wonder if ever I'll go into such abstraction. The fact is that it's a real world. I exist. That is a reality. The people around me are real. All of us are there for a while. Our membership of this club called Human Society or the world is temporary. The membership expires at some point. But as long as we are there, it's real. And we should accept and respect this reality. उसके सोचना है सब कुछ है ही नहीं, ऐसा गलत.
हाँ. आपकी उम्र भारत की आजादी से कुछ 3 साल ज्यादा है. आप जनवरी 17 को
2 बार. ये 2 बार.
I think you turned 78 on January 17th, right?
That's right.
Okay. How do you think your life parallels India?
Well, when India got independence, uh, we were not able to make even a needle. We were not an industrial country at all, and the middle class was hardly middle class because you know uh, I remember I come from a middle class family. The only gadgets that we had one uh, electric iron, one ceiling fan, and one Murphy radio. That was our position. Uh, the idea of car was beyond the wildest imagination of the middle class. So now you can imagine if you look at an average middle class home today in India, in urban India, you will see what kind of affluence, what kind of facility middle class has been given or has gained, whatever, whatever the more proper word it may be. So life has materially, it has gone ahead, and a lot of prosperity has come to at least urban India. It has happened with me also. I went through the grind, but life and my society has been kind to me. So today I have a lot of facilities that I never had before, a lot of comforts or luxuries that I could never imagine before. And that is the story of middle class India, by and large. So I'm a part of that.
Right.
Besides that, I mean, life offers you packages. So, on one hand, if life has offered you material gain and material comforts, on the other side, I think in this race we have lost many things: language, literature, tradition, and rootedness that has uh, been reduced somehow. Uh, it has something to do with the kind of education we get in our schools and colleges. It has something to do with the parents' preferences and uh, sense of importance. So, on the list of priorities, I think in last 40 years, 50 years, literature, poetry, classical music, classical arts were not on the list of priorities. And we somehow deprived a younger generation of all that cultural heritage that we had. So on that hand, we have, on that count, we have definitely lost something. On the other hand, materially, we have gained a lot. But I'm not pessimistic at all because I see the younger generation has realized that something is amiss and they are searching for it and they are looking for it on their own.
जी। मैं कल आपका एक वीडियो देख रहा था आपकी खिताब जादूनामा का जहाँ गुलजार
जी
साहब थे।
जी जी
उस
जी
दौरान जब आप कुछ कह रहे थे तो बीच में किसी किसी का फोन बजा and it struck me that without missing a beat you said mid sentence मेरा भी सलाम कहिएगा.
जी जी
There is
जी जी
there is a reason I'm mentioning this. Wit
जी
and
जी
gift of the gab have been
थैंक यू.
intrinsic to your life. When did you first become aware of those attributes and how do you think they have served you?
Well, I think these are the attributes. It's better, it's advisable for the person not to be too conscious of them. Otherwise, it will become very artificial and put on. We should be thankful that I should be thankful that people think like that or give me some compliments. But that's about all. I should be modest about it. Uh, I think uh, it is not something that you acquire. It is your basic temperament, your upbringing, your facility in language comes uh, with your environment because somehow through some process of osmosis it gets into it. And uh, I think people who know Urdu
Ji.
are people with certain wit because Urdu is a language has that nuances, that turn of phrase. So you get trained into that while reading Urdu literature, Urdu prose, and so on. I
Yeah,
think that also helps.
I see. Your book mentions that you were a pretty avid debater at age 17.
Yes, I was.
It's been 60 years now, and you've distinguished yourself as one repeatedly. Tell me a bit about this. What's the genesis of your debating skills?
Well, I was in Bhopal studying in Safia College, and I came across two seniors who were 2, 3 years seniors to me. One was Atul Bajpai, and another was Javed Mahmood. They became friends, although they were senior to me, and both of them were very good debaters. So both of them encouraged me that when you talk like this, why don't you participate in debates? And I remember for the first time, uh, there used to be a debate in Bhopal. I hope it is continued. That was called the Agar Sen Jayanti debate, and
अच्छा,
students from all the colleges would come and participate in it. So I went to Agar Sen Jayanti debate, and when I was speaking, my legs were shivering. Uh, but after second time, third time, I got over that stage nervousness, and then uh, in next 2, 3 years, I won many trophies. I became some kind of a champion debater in Madhya Pradesh, and I represented Vikram University in group discussion in 1963 in National Youth Festival that used to take place in Delhi in uh, Talkatora Gardens. Uh, uh, so now, when I came to film industry for a long time, I never got the opportunity to stand at the podium or in front of the mic to talk because obviously I was a humble uh, apprentice and then I became an assistant director. But then when I started writing films and the film did well, then again this situation was created where I had to speak. And slowly I had really, to a great extent, lost that confidence and ease which I had in my college days, but then I regained it.
I see. आप आपकी पैदाइश ग्वालियर की है।
Yeah,
आपकी फैमिली लखनऊ से वाबस्ता ज़्यादा है।
जी जी जी, माँ
आप
बाप दोनों लखनऊ के जो पास एक जगह है खैराबाद जो
जी,
कि सीतापुर में है और एक जगह है रुदौली जो मेरे ख्याल से फैजाबाद में है और ये दोनों 100 माइल्स अवे होंगे मगर वो वहां पर तो उनकी जमींदारी है जो कुछ था रहते तो लखनऊ में ही थे तो मेरा सारा बचपन जो है वो लखनऊ में ही कटा है
अच्छा, तो आपको क्या फ़र्क महसूस हुआ ग्वालियर और लखनऊ की फ़ितरत में, जहाँ तक उसका आप
नहीं
पे असर है?
ग्वालियर तो शायद मैं 6, 8 महीने का था जब मैं
ओह!
चला
अच्छा,
आया
अच्छा।
तो आई हैव नेवर लिव्ड इन ग्वालियर
Oh, I see. Okay. Your father named you Jadu originally,
या
and it was apparently based on Mr. Akhtar, Janisar Akhtar's verse, "Lamha lamha kisi jadoo ka fasana hoga."
वेरी राइट
Uh,
वेरी राइट
and then he changed to Javed Akhtar, which apparently means eternal star. How do you think you have lived up to both the names?
थैंक यू वेरी मच
I'm sure
जादू व्हाट डू आई से
people point out that do you do these passing compliments that people throw at you?
Sometimes I feel that name should be kept after a person has grown up, because quite often you see that the name and the person have nothing to do with each other. The quality that is defined in the name is totally non-existent in the person. तो जब एक बार बड़ा हो जाए देख लो किस टाइप का है क्या है उसकी क्वालिटी क्या गुण है उसमें उस हिसाब से नाम रख लेते हैं ये बचपन
जी,
में ही रख देते तो बड़ा कभी कभी वो कंफ्यूजन हो जाता है
वो प्लेस होल्डर जिसे कहते हैं ना कि
जी
टेम्पररी रखा है, बाद में देख लेंगे।
जी जी वो जादू ऐसे ही था
अच्छा,
for
अच्छा।
for a couple of years my name was only Jadu but then when they were sending me to school I mean in Montessori or whatever so they thought भाई ये तो बच्चे हंसेंगे जादू इसका नाम है कुछ ठीक नहीं रहेगा तो कुछ नाम रख दो इसका तो my name was kept Javed because of Jadu.
अच्छा। You did not spend much of your late childhood and teenage with your family, I think. Is that correct?
Yes and no. It depends on how you define a family. I have lived with my mother. Uh, she passed away when I was 8. On the 18th of January, I became 8. On the 17th, 1953, and on 18th, she passed away. Then my family was the house of my maternal grandparents. So that was my family.
अच्छा,
My father was in Bombay. I have lived with my father when I was perhaps 3 or 4 years old, when my mother and father, both of them, were in Bhopal teaching in the college. But after that, I have never lived with him.
Acha. I've
Yeah.
always been curious about how the subject of a biography views that particular biography. When you read Jadunama, do you meet the person who you are, or there are features resulting from the writer's conception of who you are?
Actually, it is exact. It can't be called my biography
Okay,
because there is a long interview that the gentleman, Mr. Arvind Mandloi,
Mandloi.
who has collected so many interviews and turned it into a major book. But there are, I think, quite a few interviews. I mean, dozens of interviews of different people, of my colleagues, my friends, my family, and so on. Their interviews, my interview, then whatever detail he had of my speeches that I made at different occasions and different places, he has quoted them, so on. So it is a kind of a collage of many things. It is
I
not
see.
just a biography. I am, uh, I mean, it's a bit too near to this book for comfort, but by the end of this month, the second book is coming. That is done by Nasreen Muni Kabir.
Acha.
And that book is also, I mean, about me, uh, uh, titled Talking Life.
Acha.
It is a long conversation between me and her. She's asking the questions and I'm answering that. That is comparatively nearer to a biography. And she has asked me about my childhood, then about my college days, school days, college days, then my struggle in Bombay when I came and I went through the grind, and then so on, and then my associates, the kind of people I met, the kind of situations I negotiated in my life, the strange people, and how life sometimes makes big circles. It starts
Right.
from here, and then after many years, it reaches its logical end, so on.
Right.
So that is in another book. This is perhaps, I'll say, a collage of my interviews of many, many friends, then a report about my film career, and my quotes from different sources, from speeches and debates and whatever. So it's an interesting book. It's doing extremely well. I mean, today the publisher called me. The book is released perhaps 10, 15 days back. 15 days back, and he's saying that by the end of this month we are going for the second edition.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah, it is. It is. Thank you.
इसका तो मतलब ये हुआ कि अब आपकी खुद की जीवनी आत्मकथा ऑटोबायोग्राफी
वो
इट
इस
सीम्स
नहीं नहीं, कुछ इसमें भी है और
आई नो
कुछ उसमें भी है।
नहीं तो फिर मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा था कि क्या ये मैं सोचूं कि इसके बाद आप खुद अपने बारे में नहीं लिखेंगे
मुझे मुश्किल लगता है, इसलिए कि इन किताबों में दोनों को मिला के बहुत सारी बातें आ गई हैं,
अच्छा
ज्यादातर आ गई हैं जो कि मैं ओन कर सकता हूँ पब्लिकली, लेकिन बहुत सारी बातें ऐसी होती हैं दैट it becomes embarrassing to talk about them or write about them because I mean you have all the right to be totally frank and honest about yourself, and you can make any confession where you have done wrong. But uh, incidentally, what happens that such many stories involve others,
right
others who are living, others who are dead, but their children or grandchildren are there. So why embarrass them? I mean, obviously, there have been many people who are not too good to me. They were not kind to me, and there were people who were very kind to me. So I have mentioned all those people in detail who were kind to me, but I have put some restraint about
अच्छा
unpleasant things because I mean it won't serve any purpose.
right as a great storyteller yourself and a great screenplay script writer how do you see your life from that standpoint if you were to ask if you're asked to write a film on your life what do you think the hooks are
Well, I mean it is a bit. It will be a, I think, a narcissistic exercise to think about it. The
life is
fact is,
narcissism
I
Mr.
always,
Akhtar
I I'm always reminded of a line by Faiz Ahmad Faiz.
जी.
इस राह में जो सब पे गुजरती है वो गुजरी. We sometimes the way we become arrogant about our success, about popularity, about our name, about fame, about uh, our position, which is wrong.
Right.
The same way, sometimes we become arrogant about our wounds, about hurts, about our deprivation, about our bad days, and we take all those wounds and turn them into medals and put them across our chest. And we see, so, and we've become very proud of what went wrong with us, how we were ill treated, and we uh, ask people to respect us because we have failed so in our life
Right.
to some on many stages. That is also wrong. You see, if I was unemployed, if I went without food, if I went without a shelter, without clothes, without uh, having money to go to a doctor if I'm not well, am I the only person? Is it so unique? The fact is no. There have been millions and millions and millions of people who have seen all this, and even today they are seeing it all over the world, at least in the developing countries. So that doesn't make me unique. On the contrary, I should be thankful to my life that it is behind me now, and I have come to a better uh, times where life is kind to me. So talking about it with certain pride can be there can be two reasons for it. One, that see how much I have suffered and
Right.
how much this world has been cruel to me. No, this has happened to many people, so there is nothing great about it. Another, that you see, I was homeless, I was jobless, and look where I have come, where I have reached. Now, this is the other side of arrogance which we hide while telling a sob story, but actually we are telling, do you realize where I have reached? How much I have won, how victorious I am, how much territory I have conquered. Both the things are not worth saying, I think. We
I
should be
agree.
humble, we should be thankful, and we should remember that there are many people who have done much better work than us, people who have achieved much more than us.
Right.
So thank you very much. Life is fine, kind. I have good friends. I have a good, happy married life. My children are doing very well. So I'm a satisfied person, but at the same time, there is some unsatisfaction in me that I realize that I could have done much more, and I should do much more than what I'm doing.
You know, I was once again referring to the video with Gulzar Saab yesterday. Another feature that struck me was the range of erudition that the two of you put on display. And it also struck me that you are perhaps the two only surviving members of that grand Indian project of great writing, great music, etc. Uh, how do you look at things like that? Language has become so fractured now and abbreviated and truncated in the social media world. And it's
Yeah,
one of your observations too, yeah.
I think language is not a pond or a lake. Language is a river. It keeps on changing. I'm sure that if my grandfather would have heard me speaking, would have been quite shocked. That this is the language nowadays people are speaking. Language changes. And as far as the writing talent is concerned, I beg to differ with you. I think there are many young writers who are doing extremely good work. If you see Abhinav Sinha's pictures, look at the writing. The quality of writing is unbelievable. If you there are many. Look at the film Udan, which was written by somebody who was at that time 26 years old. What a brilliant script it is. Uh, this There's so many films. Masan. Then when I see Gully Boy, Dil Dhadakne Do, these are the films by Zoya, my daughter. So I really developed respect for their writing. I mean, these writings are much more mature than perhaps what I did in 70s, 80s.
I see. Uh, the two of you exuded such warmth and respect towards each other in that at that event. Uh, Talk a bit about that because I was quite touched by the way the bond seemed to work. Again, without trying anything, it was just there.
It is there. It was always there. I don't know because people think, because perhaps generally it doesn't happen. I don't know. But they think that they are writers, they are in a certain position, so there must be some kind of a rivalry, there must be some kind of competition in them, and so on. But the fact is that I met him in 1970. That makes 52 years, 53 years, this is the 53rd year. And never for a day we had unpleasant relationship or we had a conversation which was unpleasant. Never. We don't get to meet very often because everybody is busy in Bombay. But whenever we meet, it is as warm as you saw that day. That the only difference is that there was a TV camera or some video camera that was shooting it. Otherwise, this is the way we have always met for 52 years.
Right. To digress a bit, the idea of
Yeah,
mother as an ennobled entity has reflected in your film writing. I'll just cite two examples. One is, of course, the most famous one, Mere Paas Maa Hai from Diwar. I wouldn't go into the details, everybody knows about it, but I'm trying
yeah,
to make a point. There was another film called Meri Jung.
yeah,
There is
yeah.
a scene in that movie where Nutan, who's mentally disturbed and somewhat unstable, is talking to Anil Kapoor, where she says, "मेरे दो छोटे छोटे बच्चे हैं जो मेरे बगैर नहीं रह सकते." And Anil Kapoor
Hmm.
replies, "किसी भी उम्र के बच्चे अपनी माँ के बगैर नहीं रह सकते." Now, that was a very Javed Akhtar line. And it struck me that here is a man who has a very interesting idea about what a mother is. Would you mind talking a bit about that?
Yeah. Uh, Now I can talk because I think I have uh, found a distance between that hurt and myself now. So I can look at it, look at the contours of that
Right.
uh, uh, emotion, that hurt. Uh, I lost her when I was 8, and I think for a very long time I did not allow myself to mourn over her or to think of her. But now at this age, when I'm going to be 78 within few days, I can tell you that when I was in my early teens, when I was a teenager, I missed her. I missed her like, I mean, it sounds very funny that I would see a grown up woman who is wholesome, talking with confidence. She's looking charming, maybe when I was 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And a lady is 40 years old, or 45 years old, or 50 years old. Uh, I would fantasize, I wish this woman would have been my mother. So obviously, I was missing her very badly, but I was not willing to own this hurt or this sense of loss because somewhere uh, a part of my mind was still must have told me that it is dangerous and you will indulge in self pity and that's not good for you. Keep your spirits up. So I refused to think much about her. My father had published all the letters that she had written. I had seen those letters from here and there, but I did not read that book from the beginning till end for many, many years. I didn't want to get into it. Now, when I'm of this age, then I have the power or objectivity to say that yes, I missed her very much. Even today, her thought hurts me. Although I find it very weird and almost funny. My mother died when she was 36 years old. So, who this 78 years old man is missing? A woman of
Right.
36 years old who is who is younger than my children, both of the children. They are they are older than 36. So now but I still miss her. And I still think of her, and definitely changes my heartbeat when I'm
Right.
thinking of her.
I see.
But in a way, it's stupid. In a way, it's stupid, but perhaps that 8-year-old boy is still somewhere alive in me, and he takes over the emotion.
Absolutely, yeah. हमारे शौक की इंतहा थी कदम रखा कि मंजिल रास्ता थी. I think it's yours, right?
Yes, that's right.
The idea that wherever you reach is success is a fascinating one, and it's somewhat reminiscent of Faz's हम जहाँ पहुँचे कामयाब फैज थी राह सब
कामयाब है.
फरमान या हम जहाँ पहुँचे
हाँ,
कामयाब आए.
पहुंचे कामयाब है.
Has that been your philosophy in a way?
If you are not satisfied and your thirst doesn't quench when it should have, then it will never. Uh, yes, uh, I feel that there are people who, whatever they achieve, they forget about it. At the same time, I think they should feel thankful that this has been given to me. But they want to move forward because somewhere, see, I can't talk in behalf of everybody, but I can tell you that I feel that there is much more that I can do, and there is much more that I should have done. So that uh, idea is disturbing. That idea doesn't let you relax. That,
Hmm.
all right, fine, wonderful. I'm thankful to the world and life. Life has given me a lot. The world has been kind to me. So, no complaint from the world anymore. But I have certain reservations about myself that I should have done much more and I should do much more than what I'm doing.
Right. Just a couple of questions about my long-held view that all creative art, especially poetry and painting, emanate from conceit, a conceit that someone, even one person other than you, would like what you create. What's your view?
I think if you are creating something, leave aside the commissioned or commercial work. If you are really pure creative thing, which you are doing for yourself, and then you will think who will like it or who won't like it. At that time, I don't think this idea should enter or does enter a creative person's mind that people will like it. In commercial world, yes, it's true. When I'm writing a song, I'll not use a kind of word which I think that it will not be commonly accepted or understood, or it is not that familiar word, so I'll try to avoid it. But when I'm writing my own poetry, so the only uh, reader, the only audience I have is myself. After that, let's see who likes it, who doesn't like it, that is secondary. But while you are making it, there is nobody else but you.
Right. Second guessing a poet is always problematic because we do not know how the circumstance or mental state in which a particular verse was written. Say, for instance, बाजी जाए अतफाल है दुनिया मेरे आगे, होता है शबो रोज तमाशा मेरे आगे. On the face of it, it looks so epic in its arrogance that he thinks the world is just a little playground of children in front of unfolding in front of his eyes.
What I watch it.
Yeah, but otherwise, I mean, I'm second guessing Ghalib here. I
Hmm,
don't know what
hmm.
circumstance. I think you made a point in during that event that वो पल की बात है, उस पल में क्या
Hmm.
हो रहा है. So, what do you think
Ji, ji.
something like this means?
See, I am willing to concede this point that people who are creative are perhaps more often than not are not very normal people. Actually, psychiatry believes that if you are totally normal, whatever their definition, maybe I don't know what's that, then you cannot be creative. The idea, the desire to create something will come to you only if you are feeling some kind of void or you have some sense of incompletion within you or outside you. So, to fill that gap, to fill that void, you create something. If
Hmm.
everything is hunky dory and you are very well adjusted in life, why would you create it? You'll be a sensible, mature, decent person. You will not think of creating something. I mean, and creating, don't understand this word in narrow sense. I think one of the creative persons was Edison. Now, a normal person who has a good job, who has a regular family, a loving wife, wonderful children, good neighbors, he's a member of a club where everybody likes him, loves him. Why would he think that let me make a machine that will capture sound? I mean, the
Right.
idea is mad. It's a mad idea. It happened. But the very thought that let me catch sound is not of a normal mind.
Right.
Why he desired to do it? A normal person will not desire to do it. The same way, whether Michelangelo or Beethoven or Shakespeare or Ghalib or anybody for that matter, what they were creating was, I mean, it it doesn't happen just like that. It takes away a part of you. It takes toll from your nerve, from your memory, from your nostalgia, from your feelings, emotions. You dig your wounds and find something from the wounds, from your pain, and so on. It's a strange process. Real
Right.
creativity is a very painful process. Why would a man get into it? Why won't he live happily and start some real business instead of thinking of poems and paintings and sculptures? So, yes, more often than not, people who are creative are not very normal people. But some of them have the part which is normal, has that strength to control that abnormal side of the personality and keep it in some kind of rein. And some people cannot, and that abnormal side of the personality breaks the rein, and then they become obviously very abnormal people.
Right. दो आखिरी चीजें मैं आपका slightly philosophical points I wanted to know your view on. Buddhism has a profound concept called kshanika, the idea that existence is from moment to moment to moment and not a continuum. In fact, the 7th century scholars such as Kumarila Bhatta used to wonder अगर ये moment to moment है तो ये दो क्षणों के बीच में क्या है. Now we're talking about 14, 15, 1600 years ago. This was the level of discourse. I my personal sense is that somewhere along the line we seem to be losing that kind of intellectual vigor in our society. What is your view of that?
Well, I'm not a philosopher, that's for sure, but India has been a very fertile land for philosophers and thinkers. Uh, Not many people know that India was the first country in this whole world that had a real serious moment of atheism and rationalism. The first country in the world, and when almost 3,500 years ago, the Charvak movement was
Indeed.
unbelievable. I mean, 3,500 years ago, Brahaspati writes that there cannot be any life after death. There is no uh, 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 reincarnation possible. There is no God. There is no supreme power that is running our lives and controlling our lives. It's all absurd. 3,500 years ago. So we have had different kind of philosophers, different thinkers, because you see, what is our plus point? That we had a society and for very long, for thousands of years, where everybody was allowed to think any which way
Right.
and articulate it. That developed our intellectual muscle. That trained us unknowingly, unwittingly for a democracy, because that is what democracy is. And societies where uh, this kind of free thinking was not allowed could never be conducive for democracy. And even today, if you look around, you will see there is no democracy there. Unfortunately, sometimes I feel that that freedom of thinking any which way and writing about it and talking about it is shrinking with time, which is not advisable.
Yeah. And finally, again, along the same lines, since you mentioned we are talking about intellectual vigor, I'm sure you're aware of Bhartari in his brilliantly
Hari
written.
Hari
Yeah.
Bhartari.
Yeah,
Hari Bol.
Vairagya Shatakam, the famous line, Bhoga na bhukta vayameva bhukta, tapo na taptam vayameva tapta, kalo na yato vayameva yata, trishna na jirna vayameva jirna. The idea that we do not consume pleasures, we get consumed by pleasures. Now, again, this was 14, 1500 years ago. To produce that level of intellectual leap, we don't seem
No
to be
doubt.
doing it now. Why is
No
it that
doubt.
I'm troubled by that?
No doubt. Yeah, but, there is one quote from Gita,
Gee,
which I mean, every time when I repeat it, will tell you that to somebody, it surprises me also at the same time. That how complete, how perfectly this has been described. Because all this philosophy ultimately talks of attachment and detachment.
gee,
Look what Krishna said. अर्जुन जिंदगी से यूं गुजर जैसे पत्ता पानी पे तैरता है कि एक और तो वो पूरा पानी में होता है और दूसरी ओर पूरा सूखा होता है.
absolutely.
So when you are saying that what is between movements and movements, are they
Yeah,
connected or they are separate? The answer is in Gita.
yes,
जिंदगी से यूं गुजर जैसे पत्ता पानी पे तैरता है कि
amazing.
एक और तो वो पूरा पानी में और दूसरी तरफ. तो सच ये है कि मूवमेंट्स अपनी जगह अलग भी हैं और जुड़े भी हुए
Yeah,
और दोनों सच्चाई है. दोनों सच्चाई है.
gee, gee. I want to end on a slightly lighter note. Again, from Mary Jung, there is a scene where I think Amrish Puri is telling Anil Kapoor to kill someone. So Anil Kapoor says, मैं उनको कैसे मार सकता हूँ? उन्होंने मेरी जान बचाई थी. Amrish Puri's response is, उसने तुम्हारी जान बचाई थी, वो अपनी जगह है. अब तुम्हें उसकी जान लेनी है, वो अपनी जगह है. That is the extraordinary situational logic of India for millennia now, what you just recited from the Gita. It is so situational, so there is no absolutism in morality, and it troubles a lot of Westerners. And I tell my friends, I said, even in a movie like this, a writer like Mr. Akhtar wrote those lines. Just think about that.
That's true. Life is not linear.
Ji.
Life is not one dimensional. And it creates strange patterns, strange situations. And I think very hard and fast principles are for only those people who don't believe that they can think spontaneously or on the spot or on their feet. Uh, Nothing is beyond possibility. And there is nothing which some people don't justify. So it is a system which is chaotic. It is a chaos which is very systematic.
Wonderful. On that note, Mr. Akhtar, it's always invigorating to talk to you. As I promised, we have done within 45 minutes. And my best to you on your book. I hope it becomes a massive bestseller and everybody makes a lot of money.
Thank you. Thank you very much.